Hi, I'm Rahul. Welcome to Two Wheels and a Handlebar. Twa is all about cyclists and cycling stories. We are doing a story on Vedangi Kulkarni, the youngest woman to circumnavigate the world on a cycle. We asked her why navigation plays such an important role on an ultra ride. This is what she had to say. If you're going for something like a brevet or something, there's a route that is already planned. Okay. But if you're
Mm,
planning your own route, okay, you're planning a long trip, let's say in thousands of kilometers, and you want to plan your
mhm.
route, how do you do it? As in, there are a lot of considerations, I believe, that there is this sort of people who just takes the bike and just goes out. But I believe this is a bit more than that. So how do you plan your route?
Well, with difficulty, there's loads of softwares out there to actually plan your route,
Yeah.
but none of them give everything you want.
Mhm.
So when I did on Google Maps, for example, it took me on the roads which weren't roads,
Yeah.
or it took me on motorways where I was actually, in Melbourne, I had police come and go, you're not supposed to be here. You're on the motorway. And I was like, I didn't know that. This is what my Garmin says. um, so I would say a mixture of everything and a hell lot of research. So there's an application code called Komoot that I now use. It didn't exist back then. I used Ride with GPS and Google Maps, Google Earth to do all that. And um, my main things about route planning in pointers were usually about, like, bear in mind I was trying to do this solo and unsupported. So the main point for me was to find places to get my supplies along the way.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of find something every 100 kilometers, because 4 hours later, that's where I'm going to be technically. So, maybe I will be further than that, but that's going to be my resupply point, and then another one. So I had to plan those things for each day of my ride. And if you consider 29,000 kilometers, that's a lot of planning to do. And it's not easy. It takes ages to do that. And then I had to see what countries am I going to need a visa in, what countries I'm not,
Yep.
and how getting in touch with Indian embassies in those countries and asking if if something goes wrong. I'm on a world record attempt, or I'm on this trip, and who is the person from this country's Indian embassy that I should get in touch with if something goes wrong. So there were just little things like that that I was really aware of, because at the end of the day, I was a 19-year-old going alone for long distances in the middle of nowhere at some times. And yeah, I had to make sure that I was safe. Um, but yeah, Ride with GPS, Google Earth, Komoot. Komoot is really good because it tells you the supply points, as I said, and it gives you like on Google Maps, how you can put that yellow person on the road and you can see the road. Yeah, Komoot does that too on some occasions, and if not, it's got the separate cycling maps, so it's easy to navigate through that. Um,
And
but
did it
yeah,
work
Komoot.
everywhere? Did it work all the places, or was it in all the countries that you visited? Would it work, or there are places where
Um,
it's better and there are places where it doesn't work much?
um, there were places where, for example, in Canada, um, I don't know. So it usually my route planning was worked everywhere, and I knew that I was doing 29,000 kilometers because my route was planned before. Um, but there were many last minute things that happened. So when I was in New Zealand, I was supposed to um, get a US visa, and I was going to try and get it, but I didn't, which meant that I had to then fly to Canada and cover at least how much? Probably around 1,000 or 1,500 miles in Canada. And I planned all the route on paper, and I had all the maps with me, and I had it on my phone as well. But when I was on the road, I took a wrong turn at some point, and I hadn't uploaded it on my Garmin, which meant that my Garmin wouldn't show me the routes, which meant that when I took that wrong turn, I was at a horrendously wrong place, and suddenly I was cycling for days on end with like nothing. I didn't know where I was going, and somehow it just looked like everything was like every place that I passed was a ghost town. There were gas stations, but they weren't very helpful for whatever reason, and it was a really hard place to be because yeah but the only way to not let that happen is actually kind of plan more than I did and have a plan B. So I didn't have a plan B. I didn't even consider the fact that US visa might not happen and I might have to go all the way across Canada and cover those 1,500 miles extra. I didn't consider that before I had started. Like now I know that because now I've been on a few more long trips. So yeah, it was a big pointer from me that, you know, route planning and making sure that everything you need is going to be somewhere on your route. And because I was going to sleep on the roads, so yeah, this was a big thing for me as well. I was sleeping in laybys on, you know how there are some boards on the sides of the roads where there's like a table and it's like a picnic area sort of thing. Yeah, that was like my room for the night, really. So I used to sleep in those places when I was doing this round the world thing. If that wasn't there, then I used to sleep next to the road in a ditch or something, or in the big pipelines.
Yeah.
In the big pipes, the weird concrete pipes that you see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to kind of make sure that there was at least one town every 1,000 kilometers or every 500 kilometers, because you can only survive so much on gas station food, and that's kind of the fact. You don't get everything you need over there. And
how did you select the places? Like you already mentioned that you had a bivy bag instead of a tent. So you would also be looking at a certain kind of a place where you, because this is all on the go. The visa process while you're cycling, you'll have to do. The place you want to spend your night, you'll have to figure out on the go. You'll have to just say, okay, this seems like a good place. Let me try this out. Something like that. Is it like that? Or?
Yeah. So I still do that. In fact, like when I'm riding my bike outside, sometimes I see beautiful trees, or sometimes I see like a flat area, or sometimes when I see like, you know, I don't know, an area, a path going into the forest or something alongside the road. When I see such things, I'm like, I see potential for camping, and I'm suddenly like, ooh, maybe I could go in a picnic area along there. Maybe I could just go behind a gas station where usually there's like the gas station ends and then there's like a field or something like that. So going there instead. It's all in my head, really. I never had a proper system for it because I knew I wanted to do this for a speed record, which meant that I didn't take the whole comfort bit that much seriously until I was actually in an uncomfortable position. So yeah, that was kind of a mistake, but a great takeaway that comfort is important even if I'm going for a speed record or whatever. But yeah, that was that. And route wise, I hadn't decided. I knew how much I was going to do per day, but my route wasn't planned like that. My route was planned for distance. So across a country, I would just draw the route according to the road. Then I would go to the next country and do that, and to the next country. Eventually, I got to 29,000 kilometers, and I had a little more in Australia, and then I was done. So when I was done with all that, I kept it up to me how I do the route and where I stop along the route. So if I wanted to do more than 320 kilometers at any point, I wouldn't be dependent on it, if that makes sense. So I didn't have a day-wise plan, basically.
Woohoo! We meet again. Thanks for sticking around till the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the bell icon. Thanks.